Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Head. Don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button. So we're going to talk about some very dark cut kind of stuff here. And that is moving some of these veteran players that must have that are under contract. This is one of two videos I'll have. I have another one after this one at some point about Brandon Nimmo, but this is about Jeff McNeil. As you know, McNeil's been here for many years. He's been here since 2018. And he's been part of these sort of disintegrations by the Mets. And he's really a guy, you look at him, and he's very much a poster boy for this team. Up and down from year to year, goes through these stretches. Is he a power hitter? Is he an average hitter? Is he a spray hitter? What kind of player is he in terms of at the plate? He's been extremely inconsistent, surprisingly so. After he won his first batting title in 2022, I thought he was going to win more than that. And to be honest with you, the batting average in the National League is not very high, so there's no reason for him not to win another batting title or two during this time since then. But he has one more year left on his contract that he signed at the 22 season, which was a 4-year deal. He has had sort of a very strange 4 years. He's been looks to me very comfortable. And really I'm tired of the act. Tired of the throwing the bat, slamming the helmet, the screaming. The Mets played a game in September. He got thrown out of the game, and the Mets could have used him in that game, and obviously got thrown out. Very unprofessional. And really, it's time to move on. And he's 33 years old. Mets have young players that need to play, and they have guys coming along in their minor league system that are going to be here, especially if they play one AAA. But there is speculation, and I've heard speculation really since the beginning of September, and really actually think before that, right after the trade deadline, about players that were going to get moved in the offseason. He's probably the number one player of the veteran players that is probably almost 100% not going to be here. If he's here, I'm surprised. I'd be very shocked if he was still here. This is from SI.com. Mets utility man could be traded this offseason, according to MLB Insider and, of course, Scott Boras whisperer, John Heyman. Mets veteran Jeff McNeil could be among the players in the trade block this offseason. I talked a lot about it. Changes are already in motion for the Mets, who parted with the majority of their coaching staff after a 3-month free fall in the standings that left them out of the postseason. But once the World Series concludes, major changes could also come to the roster. An article published on Thursday, John Heyman of the New York Post reported that utility man Jeff McNeil, second longest tenured man on the roster, is a potential trade candidate this offseason. Like I said, I've been hearing about this since August. Quote, Jeff McNeil could hit the trade block, according to the whisperer. He added that while the Mets are currently focused on filling out their staff under returning manager Carlos Mendoza, sources suggest that a McNeil trade could be one way to improve the team's defense, which was an issue in 2025. McNeil, 33, missed nearly the first month of this regular season after suffering a low-grade right oblique strain during spring training. He went on to play in 122 games, split his defensive work between his natural second base and all three outfield spots. I was not happy with his defense in center field, to be honest with you. I didn't think that it was all that good. And according to StatCast, McNeil ranked 12th among qualified second basemen with plus 4 outs above average of 25. He was also credited with 2 defensive runs saved at his primary position, but was a net negative in both categories when playing in center field, -3, and left field, -2 defensive runs saved. He's not good in center field. He should not be playing center field. And people were fooling themselves that he was good. McNeil posted solid offensive numbers for most of 25, though they fell well short of his exceptional production from 22 when he captured the National League batting title. 8-year veteran hit .243. This is terrible. This is not a good year. .243 batting average, .335 on-base percentage, and a .411 slugging percentage with 12 homers and 54 RBIs across 462 plate appearances. But ended the season mired in a 4 for 46 slump. He was terrible. I mean, let's be honest. He sucked. Okay, he sucked. Don't think this should have some value in the trade market. It will depend on how much money the Mets and other interested teams are willing to absorb. He's set to earn $15.75 million next season, and after that, Mets or any other quality team would have the option of paying him the same salary in 2027, or buying out his contract for $2 million. If the Mets ultimately move on from McNeil, they would still have more than one versatile infield option available to them. For an additional trades, New York ultimately currently has Luis Acuna, Ronnie Mauricio, and Brett Beatty, who broke out with a 748 OPS and 3-point baseball reference wins above replacement of 130 games this season, while splitting reps with Mark Vientos at third and McNeil at second. Brett Beatty, I think at this point you should give him a shot to play him every day. Ronnie Mauricio needs to go. He should not have been on this roster. He should have been playing in the minor leagues. And Luis Acuna, he does a lot of things well, but he's got no power. The trade could also clear a path for Mets number 3 prospect Jeb Williams to join the big league roster. The versatile 21-year-old played 581 innings at short, 240 innings at second, and 210 center over 130 minor league games this season. He also had 17 homers, stole 34 bases, and posted a combined 828 OPS against AA and AAA pitching. Now, what could you get for Jeff McNeil? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I know that the Mariners have always liked him. I don't know if they still have that interest, and obviously the Mariners are still playing as I record this video. You know, the game is tied there in Seattle as I record this. That's a team that's had a long time interest in them. A lot of teams would be interested in a veteran player that can hit 300 and play multiple positions, but in my opinion, it's time to change the personality of this team. That sometimes change is good for change's sake. And they need to start doing that. I mean, they took a very big step by getting rid of some of these coaches. Now they have to start divesting themselves of some of these players that have been here way too long. If players have been in one place for too long and they're not a superstar, and the team's not winning, you move on. And there are some issues here with McNeil in particular. Well, let me know what you think about this video. And of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. And of course, follow me on Facebook, and I'll see you later. Now, welcome back to the Prospect Hut. We're talking about Mets prospects here. And of course, I need you to hit that subscribe button and like this video. Even though the New York Mets did not make the postseason, obviously they had a terrible finish to that season. The Mets minor league system had an excellent season. And we're going to go through some of the leaders in this video. So that's why you have to follow this channel and, of course, watch the entirety of this video to get what's going on here. This is from Mets Rise, and they cover everything as far as I can tell. They're amazing. Abby do a good job, and Rise and Apple does a good job. Mets 2025 minor league season leaders. Now, of course, leave comments in the comment section. The minor league season is over, and what an incredibly successful one it was for the Mets. Not only did the Brooklyn Cyclones and Binghamton Rowan Ponies win league championships, but the player development throughout the Mets organization was some of the best the franchise has ever seen. Absolutely true. So the Mets are in good shape in terms of the organization. They have to make a lot of moves with the Major League Club. The Mets are stacked with prospects, both pitching and hitting. Let's take a look at which prospects lead the organization in all the important statistical categories and what the outlook is for them heading into the 26th season and beyond. For the rate stats, there'll be qualified player. We don't need to know about that. On the hitting side, A.J. Ewing had 153 hits, hit .315, had an on base of 401, and had 70 stolen bases. After an up-and-down 2024, A.J. Ewing broke out in a big way in 2025. He started the season at single A, hit .400, got promoted to high A, weathered the harsh environment being a left-handed hitter in Brooklyn, and received a second promotion to double A. His bat took a huge leap forward, and his glove wasn't half bad in center field as well. Most importantly, though, was his improvement on the base paths. After stealing 13 bases in 90 games in 2024, Ewing swiped 70 in 124 games in 2025. It was by far the most of anyone in the Mets organization, and the fifth most of anyone in minor league baseball. Now, it would also, as an aside, The league leader in the National League was 38 by Ellie De La Cruz, and believe it or not, Juan Soto. They both led the National League in stolen bases. Extremely low number. Shockingly. Of the 12 players to swipe at least 60 bases, Ewing was one of 3 to do so while also hitting over 300. Ewing propelled himself from a borderline top 30 organizational prospect to a no-doubt top 10, and if he starts his 26 just as well, he has a good chance to crack MLB's top 100 list. Wasn't that interesting? Next up is Jacob Reimer, who had a .491 slugging percentage, .870 OPS, 157 WRC+. Jacob Reimer entered 25 as almost a bit of an afterthought. He broke out in 2023 and established himself as one of the organization's top infield prospects, but then played just 25 games in 24 due to an injury. He had a terrible hamstring. It was a lost season for Reimer, and other prospects grabbed more of the headlines by the time 2025 came around. He is a big prospect. Got to keep an eye on him. He could be really good in the future. Reimer took the headlines back. He started the year with High A Brooklyn and was a huge part of the middle of their lineup. He was promoted to Double-A after 61 games and basically repeated his performance at Binghamton for another 61 games. He has plus power that he maximizes by lifting and pulling the ball, and he makes really good swing decisions to boot. Mentioned this, he hit 3 home runs in Brooklyn when they were on the road and in one game, and he was on MLB Network right after that. So he grabbed a lot of people's attention. The Mets will likely make a slew of changes to their lineup in the offseason, particularly on the infield. One possible path is moving on from Mark Vientos, Ryan Mauricio, Luis Angel Cunha, giving Brett Beatty everyday third base job, and having the right-handed hitting Reimer in AAA if Beatty fails or falters. Ryan Clifford, 29 home runs, 93 RBIs, 85 walks, 233 ISO. Ryan Clifford is the prototypical 3 true outcome hitter. Hits for a ton of power, draws a ton of walks, and of course strikes out way too much. He's never going to hit for a high batting average, but if he maximizes his potential, he will get on base and hit and slug. His 29 home runs were 12 more than any other Mets minor leaguer, and 6th among all minor league baseball players. Of the 5 players above him, 4 were in their age 24 season or older. Clifford was in his age 21 season. Likely a first baseman at the big league level, there's a real scenario where Clifford gets the bulk of the playing time at first base of the Mets in 2026. Of course, that'll only happen if Pete Alonso and the Mets part ways, but it's certainly possible. You also need a platoon partner against left-handed pitching, as Clifford's OPS is over 200 points lower versus southpaws. So the Mets would need to bring in a righty first baseman. They mentioned Wilmer Flores. Or the Mets just re-sign Alonso and Clifford becomes a potential DH option when needed. Next up, and finally with the hitting side, is Jett Williams. 91 runs scored, 58 extra base hits. The highest profile Mets hitting prospect for several years, Jett Williams had a very positive 2025 season. Similar to Reimer, Williams lost most of his 24 season due to a wrist injury, playing just 33 games, but was back in full force in 25. He didn't get to light the world on fire, but did exactly what people expected him to do. He has an outstanding approach, which allows him to get on base a ton, setting the table for the big boppers behind him. And even then, he outbopped everyone else when it comes to extra base hits. He's not ever going to lead his team in home runs, but he did smack a very respectable 17-25, an impressive mark for someone standing just 5'7". I don't know about that. Maybe a little shorter than that. He had a ton of doubles and triples too, so 34 bases on top of that. There's a very clear path for Williams to see significant time in the big leagues in 2026. Jeff McNeil, if he's still on the team, will be a free agent at the end of the season. Williams can start the year in AAA. He needs to, and then eventually work his way into the lineup in place of McNeil at second. There's a natural platoon form there with McNeil being a lefty and Williams being a righty. And both players can play the outfield as well. Then in 27, Williams takes the full-time second base job. Well, we'll see on that one. Next, and now we go to the pitching side. You got Jonah Tong. He had a 1.43 ERA, 1.68 FIP, 0.92 whip, 2.16 xFIP, 179 strikeouts, 40.5% strikeout percentage, 29.9 K to walk percentage, and a 148 batting average against. Nolan McLean was the breakout Mets pitching prospect with 25 after bursting onto the scene in the big leagues and instantly establishing himself as the team's ace. Make no mistake, though, Jonathan was the best Mets pitcher in the minor leagues, and likely best pitcher in general among all 30 organizations. He needs a little work, man. Just from what I saw, he needs to. It's not a negative thing. He needs to grow up a little bit. He needs to get some experience. And him pitching, for 4 games in the majors gave him a lot of experience. But he needs to spend more time in AAA. I think there might be an instinct to brush this off because of Tom's uneven performance in the big leagues over his 5 starts to finish the year. But don't do that. You don't put up a 1.43 ERA by accident. You don't strike out 179 batters by accident. You don't lead the best pitching system in all minor league baseball in almost every statistical category by accident. He's young, he has work to do he has a lot to work on. He needs to bring down the walks a bit and needs to get more comfortable with his curveball and slider. But the stuff is absurd and his future looks bright. That's why it was important the Mets get rid of Jeremy Hefner, because Hefner, he was not going to learn on the Jeremy Hefner the way he needed to. Joanda Suarez, 4.5 walks percentage. Yes, the only thing Tom doesn't lead in is walk percentage. Suarez is not a highly regarded prospect, nor does he have outstanding stuff, but he's also slowly been making his way to the levels of the Mets organization since 2018 and turned his best season yet 25. He posted 3.76 ERA of the season, and it was 3.05 in AA. We spent the majority of the season. He just got rocked in a few games of AAA. He strikes out enough guys, 93 and 93, and a third innings, and is shown by his inclusion on this list. He doesn't want people. All the success the Mets organization developing pitchers, there's a tendency amongst some of their arms to walk too many batters. Tom McLean and Brandon Screw all ran walk rates above 10% this season, and in total, 8 of the 14 qualified pitchers did so. Suarez all the way down at 4.5% was essentially an outlier. Again, you're not going to find him high on any prospect list. You're not going to find him. But there's definitely something interesting here. Interesting. He should get a chance to conquer AAA next season, excuse me. And if he does next week, that'd be great. And if he does, it could be an option for the Mets either as a spot starter or long reliever. So this is guys that they highlighted as Mets minor league leaders. So this is we're going to have a lot of stuff like this, so you need to hit the subscribe button. And, of course, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you later. Well, welcome back to the Prospect Hub. We talk about Mets prospects and the Mets minor leagues. And, of course, in this video, we're going to talk about the Syracuse Mets, which is the Mets AAA affiliate. And they're going to change their name in a couple of years to something that's more relevant to the neighborhood and the area in which the Syracuse team is at. But here we have Mesmerizer's recap of what happened this season. This is the one team that did not go to postseason in the Mets minor league system. Basically, there's a lot of guys that are sort of fringe major leaguers and young players that was trying to get their feet wet. I expect this team to be much better next year because all the Met prospects are going to be in AAA next year. Carson Benj, I would expect. Jet Williams, Jacob Reamer, Jonah Tong, Brand Sprout, they're all going to be there, including a few others as well. Kevin Parada, who was a former prospect. We'll see what happens with him. Haven't heard much about him. But this is Mesmerizer's recap. Top arms arrive. Now, I need you to watch the entirety of this video, so it's a great way to help me out. The Syracuse Mets in 2025 finished the season with a 77-73 record, placing them in the middle of the International League East standings. First half was rough. Syracuse stumbled to a 31-44 start, but things flipped after the break as the team rallied for a 45-29 second half. The biggest story of the summer was the late season arrival of 4 top prospects: Jet Williams, Jonah Tong, Carson Benj, and Ryan Clifford. They joined Brand Sprout and Nolan McLean to form one of the top, most prospect-heavy AAA rosters in recent Mets history. For a level often dominated by veterans, it was a rare sight. On the mound, Nolan McLean was the clear standout. In the notoriously hitter-friendly league, he dominated with a 2.78 ERA over 87 1/3 innings after his May promotion. The success carried over to the majors, where he has quickly cemented his place in David Stearns' long-term plan. So we'll see. He's got to keep it going in spring training. He can't take a step back. We mentioned about him, even though he looked like a veteran, he has an experience as a starter. And we'll see how he does. Because he was obviously when he went to Oklahoma, he was a reliever in Oklahoma, Brandon Spruccio flashed the frontline ability, but battled inconsistency. Across 121 innings, he recorded a 4.24 ERA, 113 strikeouts, highlighted by a brilliant July where he posted a 0.67 ERA over 5 starts to earn his call-up. Jonathan made only 2 starts but didn't allow a run in 11 2/3 innings. Beyond that trio, Syracuse's pitching was hit or miss. Blade Tidwell held his own before being traded to the Giants in the Tyler Rogers deal, logging a 4.10 ERA and 97 strikeouts in 87 1/3 innings. The older shuttle squad arms weren't as sharp, even though they were fine in the majors. Brandon Waddell, 5.02 ERA, Justin Hageman, a 5.58 ERA, and Dom Amell, who, by the way, was picked up by the Orioles when the Mets DFA'd him, all had rough years in the minors, but were given cups of coffee at the big league level. So Dom Amell's added to the Mets organization already. They picked him up in the waning days of the season. The bullpen, let's see, let me go back down a little bit. And of course, please like this video and hit the subscribe button. The bullpen lacked immediate big league options outside Dylan Ross, a fireballing righty who dominated with a 1.69 ERA and 13.5 strikeouts per 9 innings over 32 innings before a September call-up, although he didn't appear in the game. I think that was a little unfair. The Mets did that. They shouldn't have done that. Felipe De La Cruz and Douglas Orellana remain intriguing with their innate arm talent. Still, both struggled in limited AAA work. De La Cruz with walks and Orellana with both command and contact management. At the plate, Syracuse's offense lacked consistency. The top prospects struggled after arriving. Ryan Clifford with a 754 OPS led the group, followed by Jet Williams with 719 OPS and Carson Bench with 583 OPS. All hovered near the Mendoza line and will likely begin 2026 back in AAA for further development. Leading the way offensively was corner infielder and outfielder Jared Young. At 321 plate appearances with Syracuse, he hit 300 for 396 on base percentage, a 560 slugging percentage. Perhaps he would have outperformed the young Ronnie Mauricio down the stretch, but there's no use looking back anymore. Young will be a minor league free agent at the year's end. Minor league veterans Luke Ritter, Luis De Los Santos, and Gilberto Celestino all possess significant Pro Bowl experience, but limited upside. Ritter, once the Mets minor league home run leader, hit 225, 11 home runs with 438 plate appearances. Celestino was serviceable at 272, but batting average, but had a major hole on the outer half of the plate. De Los Santos was 27, was an early season bench candidate, but it ended with a 627 OPS in AAA. Let's see here. And they go over on this thing. They go over what the manager was. Dick Scott was the manager. We'll see what kind of moves, what kind of changes they're going to be with the minor leagues. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Maybe some guys will get promoted to the major league level. Let's see who the pitching coach is for the AAA team here. AJ Sager. Interesting. Keep an eye on him. I know that they mentioned, I've heard the name JP Arancibia as the bench coach for the Mets. Mets should bring in a guy with some gravitas, a little weight to him. Not some minor league guy. The Mets shouldn't do that with Mendoza. You need somebody here that could take over in case shit happens and there's a problem with Mendoza. So, according to Mets Rise's top prospects, Mets had on the AAA team this year, number 1, Jet Williams, number 2, Carson Bench, number 4, Nolan McLean, number 5, Brandon Sproat, number 8, Ryan Clifford, At number 20, Jonathan Pintaro, who we saw a little bit of in the majors. And number 23 on this list, Dylan Ross. But he didn't pitch. Again, I thought it was unfair the Mets called him up in September. Why call this young guy up and he's not ready yet? But overall, Syracuse ranked 12th in the league in runs scored and 9th in ERA. Looking ahead, the closest the Queens remain the top guys, and Williams, Benj, and Clifford all are likely to return to Syracuse in 26 for refinement. Each has its flaws, but there's potential to impact the Mets down the road and later in the new season. Well, Benj had a big year until he got to AAA. Mets kind of rushed him. He started in Brooklyn, then went to Binghamton. They pushed him a little hard. I think that's why he kind of fizzled out a little bit in AAA. And Clifford seems to take time to sort of adjust to these leagues. So I expect Clifford to have a big year in AAA. I don't expect him to be with the Mets opening day. I'd be shocked. 2026. I expect P. Alonso to be back with the Mets. I'd be surprised if he wasn't. He's a clear-cut fill. I mean, he's a clear-cut answer for the Mets in the middle of their lineup, but we'll see. You'd also be swayed to not bring him back as well, but that's a separate issue. But you let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later. All right, everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut, and hopefully you like this video. And hit that subscribe button. Of course, this is a dark hut video, and this stuff that we talk, that's very, it's dark. And it's dark for a very specific reason. It's about making very tough decisions, and Mets going to have to make some tough decisions now on some of these players that have been here for a long time. And one of the guys that has been here the longest has been Brandon Nimmo. Now, your host is a great admirer of him. He's an American success story. This is a kid that had no high school team, and he went from being on no high school team to being a number one overall, not number one overall pick, but 11th pick overall in the draft, to being one of the best players on a major team, and really very popular. People love the guy, including myself. Brandon Nimmo's been here a long time, and since 2016, and he's been a Met for almost 15 years. He's got a big contract with the Mets. He's on an 8-year deal after the 22 season. He's got 5 more years on his contract. Moving him is not going to be easy. It's going to be extremely difficult, just due to the fact of the years. And he's going to be 33 years old next season. So he's an older player, and he's had issues with his legs. He's had issues with his feet. I said the Mets should have made him the designated hitter this year. Would have helped the Mets in terms of they could have got more production out of the outfield and out of the DH spot if they made him an everyday DH. They didn't do that. So he was playing left field. Then in the last game of the season, he was playing center field because the Mets got extremely desperate there to try to win that final game, in Miami. But we have an article, and actually an insider mentioned this. It's from SI. Mets might trade Brandon Nimmo to make room for free agent all-star. The Mets part ways with beloved outfielder Brandon Nimmo this winter. The Mets should shop him, certainly. New York, I'm okay. The New York Mets signing of Juan Soto to a $15 million deal in free agency last offseason made it extremely clear that this team is going to spare no expense when it comes to building a stacked roster that should be capable of winning World Series titles each season. Of course, the Mets came up well short of that goal in 25, failing to make it to the postseason. Many fans are blaming the moves that New York's front office made and didn't make at this year's trade deadline as a reason for that. Now, one of the things they did was they traded for all these bullpen pieces, and they all completely fell on their face. All the moves they made at the deadline were a disaster, including Cedric Mullins. We never see him again. But that's not in the rearview mirror. All New York can do is, at this point, is try to learn from their mistakes and work to improve their roster over this upcoming offseason. While this is a reason for the Mets' faithful fan base to be excited, new additions might mean some of this current roster staples might lose their job before the 26 campaign commences. Beloved outfielder Brandon Nimmo is the Mets' longest tenured player, as he debuted with the team in 2016 when Nimmo was under contract with the Mets the 2030 season, there's a world where the team decides to trade to make space for a potentially more impactful player. Let's see. One of the most compelling free agents who will become available this offseason is Kyle Tucker, who's a 4-time MLB All-Star and a 2022 World Series champion, who's asserted himself as one of baseball's best left-handed hitting outfielders over the past few years. And on October 8th live stream with Bleacher Report, MLB insider and Scott Boras whisperer John Heyman noted that the New York Mets could part ways with him in order to free up in pursuit of Tucker. Long shot that Tucker does stay with the Cubs. It was worth trying. He had a solid year, but for the Cubs, who are not the team that spends huge, doesn't feel like something they would do. Heyman said, whether it be the Dodgers, the Mets, somebody speculated to me that it could be the Mets for Tucker, which would be interesting. He continued, they moved Soto to left field. I mean, the Mets have a lot of interesting decisions to make. Could you move Soto to left and move Nimmo to center or trade Nimmo? I mean, I'm not ruling anything out. I'd move Nimmo to DH. I make Nimmo the DH. The Mets likely wouldn't resign Peter Alonso and add Tucker to this offseason. Given the money that would require, and the fact they're expected to prioritize pitching. But if Alonso does sign elsewhere and they need to replace his bat, signing Tucker and trading Nimmo, ideally for some pitching assistance, could be a compelling option. But they could have also put Nimmo at DH. Because then, the Mets have holes everywhere in this lineup. First base could be a hole, second base, third base, center field. And that's a lot. That's 4 positions the Mets have holes in. And they need to bring in a major piece with the rotation. This team needs a number 1 starter. Brandon Nimmo is going to be a very difficult piece to move because of all the years on his contract. That's so much the money, because, Cohen will eat the money if he has to. This is more about the years than anything else. Does anybody want to pick him up? Knowing that he has a bit of a history of sore legs and a bad neck and back? I don't know. Well, you let me know what you think about this in the comments section. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host. Welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. Hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. So, if you watched the game last night, the Tigers versus the Mariners, is that game over yet? Oh my God. That game went to the middle of the night. Now, I, your host, loves watching baseball and playoff baseball, but there came a point where, it's like, that's it. Let the chips fall where they may get. And the Mariners won in the 15th inning. I went to bed, about an hour before that. Went to bed at 12:30 here at the Hut. It's not the Mets. If it was the Mets, I would have stayed up, obviously. But as that game was going on, you knew the home team had the chance of them winning was going up because you got the last at bat, and you're running out of pitching help. And that's going to be a very good very good series against the Blue Jays. That's going to go 7 games. It's going to be really good, very exciting. But here we have an offseason that could have a very intriguing player on the market. This is one of the biggest stars in Japan, Munetaka Murakami. He is a major star in Japan. He's one of the all-time great home run hitters in Japan. Has the single-season record for most home runs in a season. And he's only 25, 26 years old. He's going to have quite the market for him. All the big teams are going to be in on him. I'm going to get into this. Of course, please watch the entirety of this video. Subscribe. This video will also go on Substack. I am on Substack. I do everything on there. All my videos go on there pretty much. And, of course, I'm on Facebook. I don't know if I put this on Facebook, but here we go. So this is from MLB.com. Now, he could be posted, which means that the team posting him will put him out there, and then the highest bidder will have a chance to sign him. The posted money will go to the team that he plays for, and he will decide within a certain amount of days to sign with that team. So this is not like, He's not a free agent. He's not like, say, for instance, Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani was not posted. He was a free agent. Ichiro was posted. Kodai Senga was a free agent. But here we go. Who could Japanese star Munetaka Muraki's market look like? Well, let's find out, shall we? Roki Sasaki is doing his part to help the Dodgers in their quest for a second straight World Series title, but the next Japanese star could be on his way to the majors in the coming months. According to sources, Munetaka Murakami, a slugging corner infielder for the Yakult Swallows of the Central League in Nippon Professional Baseball, will be posted this winter, making him available to all 30 big league clubs. Murakami's move to the majors has been expected for months. Yahoo Sports Japan reported last December that Murakami announced that 2025 would be his final season in the NPB, while Yakult team president and acting owner Tetsuya Hayashida told multiple Japanese media outlets in June that the club is willing to post the two-time Central League Most Valuable Player and four-time All-Star. Quote, "Our hope is for him to succeed," Hayashida said. "He supported the team so much in such a short period and made a big contribution. He's a player we care a lot about." Murakami has played about 75% of his games at third base, with the other 25% corner coming at first base. Listed 6'2", 213 pounds, he has 246 homers in 892 games, including a 56 home run season in 2022, the most hit in a single season by a Japanese-born player. The left-handed slugger also won the Triple Crown that year at the age of 22, becoming the youngest player in league history to accomplish that feat. "He has legit power," said one scout who has watched Murakami multiple times. "It should translate to the majors. What that means exactly remains to be seen." Hideki Matsui had 332 home runs in 10 seasons in Japan, including 50 in 2002. Before joining the Yankees in 2003, but he hit 30 homers only once and reached the 20 home run mark 4 other times in his 10 years in the majors. Nikkei Sports reported this week that the Yankees, Mets, Phillies, and Mariners are among the teams that could make a big push for Murakami, who had 22 homers for 47 RBIs, and a 10.43 OPS in 56 games during an injury-shortened 2025 campaign, flashing the type of power he showed in his 56 home run season. Sources say the Dodgers, Giants, and Red Sox could also be in the mix, though much of it will depend on how each team uses his ability to play first and or third, or his willingness to be a DH. The Mets could face the loss of Pete Alonso, who is opting out of his contract, so President of Baseball Operations David Stearns went to Japan in August to see him. This is Murakami, who had a walk-off home run with Stearns in attendance. The Dodgers could look to move on from Max Muncy at third base, while the Mariners could lose both first baseman Josh Naylor and third baseman Eugenio Suarez to free agency. The Phillies could slot Murakami in as a DH to replace Kyle Schwarber, who is also set to be a free agent, move Bryce Harper back to the outfield to open first base, or possibly trade third baseman Alec Bohm, who is entering his final year of arbitration. The Red Sox could also use Murakami at first base, or if Alex Bregman opts out and signs elsewhere, they would have a vacancy at third base. The Giants, who have Matt Chapman at third and Rafael Devers at DH, could use Murakami at first base. This is a very intriguing player because he has incredible power. If there's a potential red flag for major league teams, is Murakami's strikeout rate, which has been risen significantly over the past 3 seasons. He whiffed more than 30% of his at-bats during his first 2 seasons, but he lowered that rate between 20.9% and 22.3% from 2020 to 2022. Also of concern is Murakami's walk rate, which has dipped from a career high 19.3% in his monster 22 season to 14.3% this past year. Murakami owns a .394 career on-base percentage, though it has decreased into 370s each of the past 3 seasons. as he posted numbers between 408 and 458 from 2020 to 2022. The strikeout walk numbers may scare some teams away, an AL executive said. He has big power, but there appear to be a lot of holes in that swing. Oh boy, that's not good. That is not good. Murakami turned 25 in February, so he won't be limited to international bonus pool money the way Sasaki was last offseason. Players who are at least 25 and have played at a professional and foreign league recognized by Major League Baseball for a minimum of 6 seasons are exempt from those restrictions. Okay? So Murakami must be posted by Yakult if he wants to make the move to the major leagues. It'll be interesting to see what type of contract Murakami will land, as the biggest deals signed by MLB players coming to the majors have mostly gone to pitchers such as Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Masahiro Tanaka, and Kodai Senga. The top contracts for Japanese position players have gone to Masataka Yoshida and Seiya Suzuki and Jung-Ho Lee. Be interesting to see what kind of money he gets. Very interesting, because really the position players this year, in terms of the market, is not very deep. We got Kyle Tucker, Kyle Schwarber, Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman. That's pretty much it. Guys that are star players, and that's pretty much it. And they all have sort of limitations, except for Tucker. So Murakami he's always, the Japanese players are kind of always separate anyway. To me, is where do you fit him in? Do you want him as DH? Do you want him at first? He's not considered a good defensive player. That's sort of been the belief too, is that he would not be a great defensive player. And New York Mets in particular are looking for improved defense on their team. I don't know where the Mets are going to go with this, if the Mets do this. But obviously the Yankees will be interested, the Cubs, the Red Sox, all the big teams. Maybe the Padres. The Dodgers will certainly be interested, but where are they going to play him? It says the Yankees, the Phillies, the Mariners, really 4 main teams in the Dodgers, Giants, and Red Sox. I don't see a fit there with the Giants. I don't see that. I don't see their fit with the Red Sox. The Dodgers, they could sign him. They could, win the posting fee without a problem. But where are they going to play him? They have a great first baseman. I don't know. The Yankees, I don't see the Yankees signing him. I can see him going to the Mariners. Definitely. You let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Head 2. And I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, welcome back to the Baseball Head 2. And hopefully, you like this video and hit that subscribe button. We're talking about another free agent that's going to be available on the market. And that's Cody Bellinger, who was with the Yankees this past year. And he's going to opt out of his contract, or he's opted out of his contract. I want to talk about the potential places and landing spots. Could be local, it could be anywhere really. He's a very unique player because he can play first base and he can play center field. So he's a very unique player. He's been an MVP in the past. He's been a very good player, but he's had his ups and downs. His finish with the Dodgers was not very good. He spent the last 2 years prior to the Yankees with the Cubs. He played really well with the Cubs. And he got traded last offseason to the Yankees because the Cubs didn't want to spend the money. That's going to be a theme with the Cubs. Now, the Cubs are basically gone home and bye-bye after their $40 million manager basically did not get them over the hump. They let that ruffled-up old prune Pat Murphy outmanage him. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, here are the 3 best MLB free agent fits for Cody Bellinger if he leaves the New York Yankees. Okay? Hey, now, he is a former MVP, All-Star. Recent reports stated that the New York Yankees outfield is expected to opt out of his contract for next season and become a free agent. While Bellinger's first season with the Yankees was a plausible one, 29 home runs, 98 RBIs, and a 272. It's a good year. 334 on base, 480 slugging percentage, and a long-term pact would make sense for both sides. Fellow outfielder Trent Grisham, who hit a career-high 34 homers this season, is also a free agent. I would mention this. Any team that goes after Trent Grisham, let the buyer beware. Because this is a guy that has been a lousy player. he hasn't been that good, in my opinion. He's a 220-something hitter. He had a big year this year, but he is not a 34 home run guy. This is a career year. You don't go near him. Plus, New York could want prize young outfielders Jason Dominguez. Don't let him play left field, and Spencer Jones. They have a runway to blossom at the MLB level. Now, Spencer Jones is the guy who strikes out a lot. It's no short thing that Bellinger's back in the Yankees next season. And of course, they have Aaron Judge, the guy that does very little in postseason. He had a big postseason this year, went home. With that in mind, here are the 3 best free agent fits for Bellinger should he depart the Bronx this winter. Now, first up is the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies had a great regular season, but a heartbreaking end to this postseason. As you know, Ryan Kekkery, throw the first. You know what it is? That's a situation where you have a pitcher who's not a good fielder, did not anticipate the ball being hit to him, and he had no clue where to go. And then he had 2 outs. What he had to do was he could have just tagged the kid. He could just tag the guy. Instead, he threw it into the stands. Now they face a potential reckoning on the free agent market, one that adding Bellinger would lessen severity. Outfielder DH Kyle Schwarber, who hit 56 home runs this season and could very well win the 2025 NL MVP award. Max Kepler and midseason pickup Harrison Bader are all scheduled to be free agents. And at this point, the Phillies' actions indicate that first baseman Bryce Harper, still bizarre writing that, isn't going back to the outfield anytime soon. By the way, catcher JT Realmuto and left-hander Ranger Suarez are also free agents. Philadelphia has to do something in the outfield rest. The Phillies have to retool their team because they hit a wall with this group, and they need to figure out what the hell kind of team they have. They still have Nick Castellanos on their team, has a bad contract. Alec Bohm is not that good. Okay, they need to figure out, and Dave Dombrowski is probably Hall of Fame general manager, but that guy cannot figure out how to put a bullpen together. He brings in these big bullpen pieces and they don't pitch well. It's the weirdest thing. I mean, they burned Carlos Estevez in last year and they beat the hell out of him. Bellinger could start at any of the 3 outfield positions for the Phillies, providing a sharp field to an outfield group that's shuffling year after year. If Schwarber leaves Philly, Bellinger is as good as any outfield the Phillies could bring in on the open market, perhaps excluding Kyle Tucker. Bellinger is an impact bat in his prime who would replace a left-handed bat in a potent offense. Should Philadelphia add more outfield depth, Bellinger's potential rival would give them the chance to use the Castellanos as the DH. All that said, there's a team in the Phillies division that not only needs Bellinger, but could also start him outside their outfield. And who's that? Well, it's funny you should mention that. The Mets. The Mets. There's a reason why we said if Bellinger left the Bronx and not New York, because he would be a fit in Queens. Yes, Juan Soto wheeled in $765 million last offseason. And Brandon Nimmo has 5 seasons remaining on his 8-year, $162 million deal. That said, Starlin Marte is going to be gone. Cedric Mullins, he's going to be gone. And New York dealt former top outfield prospect Drew Gilbert at the trade deadline. The need for another starting outfielder exists. Now, they do have Carson Bench, but he's not ready for the majors yet. The beauty of a Soto, Nimmo, Bellinger outfield is that there would be 3 players with power from the left side who have started at multiple outfield spots. With Nimmo primarily camping in left of late, and Soto in right, Bellinger gives the Mets their new everyday center fielder. I would move Nimmo to the DH spot. I would do that to get him off his feet, and I would put Bellinger in left. Yeah. Let's see. Plus, the Mets are entering another offseason with first baseman Pete Alonso, a free agent. If Alonso bolts on New York just doesn't want to commit to the homegrown star for the long haul, Bellinger could be his backup first baseman should the Mets sign a full-time corner infielder to replace Alonso. Another scenario sees Bellinger signed to start at first for the Mets, with him bounce to the outfield when needed, while making up for some of the slug that Alonso's departure would vacate. Another one, Bellinger could split time at first and center, allowing Alonso to serve as the Mets DH on a more frequent basis. Mets are a great fit for Bellinger. There's just a team that needs to proven bat a little more. And here's up next on this. I don't believe this for a second. The Cleveland Guardians. That's not happening. They're not signing him to a deal. They have one guy in the contract. The Guardians did what they typically do, have a stellar bullpen. Don't get in their own way and just crack the postseason. However, they lost in the AL wildcard series to the Tigers. And if Cleveland wishes to contend for the AL pennant, has to be busy in the offseason. Bellinger would be a perfect fit. The Guardians won 88 games, one win away from the AL Divisional Series this year, despite being last in baseball in hits and 28th in runs. The year prior, they made the AL Championship Series with more offensive oomph. The Guardians could get on the same level as the teams that advanced to the ALDS. From the jump, Bellinger would be Cleveland's most intimidating bat, not named Jose Ramirez, providing a dynamite bat from the left side who could hit behind Ramirez, disincentivizing pitchers from potentially pitching around the superstar third baseman. Bellinger could be Cleveland's center fielder, forming an elite defensive outfit that already features three-time Gold Glover Stephen Kwan. Lane Thomas, who came through with the home runs and clutch moments for 2024, is coming off a season that saw him be limited to 39 games due to a foot injury. Joinski Noel, who flaunted overwhelming power in 24, posted 24 hits and 52 strikeouts in 69 games this year. Nolan Jones underwhelmed, and Angel Martinez has had his moments, but the bat hasn't come to life in a resounding manner to date. Relying on all the aforementioned players to bounce back or make a jump would be a mistake. Bringing in Bellinger would give manager Stephen Voigt a proven commodity with a trove of postseason experience. This is not happening. I mean, why did they pick the Guardians here? Let's be honest. Let's be honest. There are teams that could use him, but it's not the Guardians. That's for sure. Yankees, the Mets. The Dodgers always look for him. The Giants, the Padres, the Red Sox. Red Sox is a good fit. I already mentioned the Red Sox. The Guardians, it's not signing this guy to a big deal. A 6-7 year deal for him? No way. They're never going to do that. They're never going to do that. They would never do that. They would sign him to a 4-year deal, 5-year deal, and then they trade him the following year. That's what they would do. They would not do that. That is without a doubt. That's not happening. The Yankees is the most obvious one, and the Mets. Yeah. And he is a guy that's a leader on the team. He got, he comes to play, he comes to post, now that he's healthy. So, you let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to Baseball Head 2. I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Yeah, host, welcome back to the Baseball Head. Hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. I was reading this thing, and I was like, I thought I had to do a double take. I've seen tweets about this. I'm looking at this now. It's like, what is Pete Alonso thinking? He thinks he's going to get 7 years? A 7-year contract from some team? It's not happening, in my opinion, as we start this video. But there is a report going out saying that Pete wants 7 years. Oh, really? You didn't get it last year, Pete. That's, again, bad advice by his agent, thinking that he's going to get 7 years. Now, he had a big year this year for the Mets, and it was a bounce-back year. He went back to doing what he does, that's hit the ball in the opposite field, using the whole field. He had 40 doubles, which is amazing. At one point, it looked like he was going to be the MVP of the league, but he fizzled in that way. But he still had big numbers. He had a big year. He's the Mets' all-time home run leader, but he is not going to get 7 years. That has got to be... He's going to be in the free agent market for a long time again. Does he want to do that again? And then he's going to have to accept a shorter deal, like he did from the Mets last year. The talk was that he was looking for more years last year. It was 9 years, 10 years. And it was right around that time that that was basically put the kibosh on him signing a big deal. And there are less teams needing a first baseman this year than last year. Got to remember, first base is not a premium position. It's not shortstop. It's not center field. Okay? He is not Freddie Freeman. Freddie got 6 years. He's not going to get 6 years. When Freddie signed with the Dodgers, he got 6 years. He'll get a lot of money. If the Mets re-sign him, they'll give him a lot of money. He's not getting 7 years. He's not even getting 5 years. And due to the fact that he did not have a good defensive year, based upon defensive runs saved, he was in the negative. He's not going to get it. Dave Stern said at the end of that sort of goodbye press conference, talking about the season, he said that he was looking to improve the run prevention on this team. New York Mets have had a big problem here for the last 6 years. And it's been this sort of this up and down, hot and cold, specifically from the everyday players of guys that have not done what they're supposed to do on a consistent basis. Where guys start hot and they're cold and they're hot and they're cold. You know, and he's been here a long time, and I'm not blaming it all on him. Obviously, but this is the pattern of this team. Now, let me read you this article from MLB. Alonso seeking at least a 7-year deal in free agency. After a limited market force, slugger Pete Alonso take a short-term deal to return to the Mets just before spring training. Alonso's not eager to relive the 24-25 offseason, according to a report from the New York Post. So that, in other words, it's from the Scott Boras whisperer, John Heyman. 30-year-old Alonso is seeking at least a 7-year deal in free agency. It's not going to happen. Down the line closely with contracts, Alonso's agent Scott Boras negotiated for Marcus Semien and Matt Chapman at the same age. But here's the thing: Semien is a middle infielder. He was a shortstop. He moved to second base. Okay? And he had a good big year after going to Toronto for a year. Matt Chapman, Pete's better than Matt Chapman. And Matt Chapman Matt is a good defensive player. Okay? And he's not, he's going to be a third baseman for a long time. For the length of his contract with the Giants. Pete's a different story. And Semien is a good defensive second baseman. After signing a 2-year, $54 million deal in February for an opt-out, after the first season, Alonso played all 162 games for the Mets for a second straight season. He batted a career best .272 with 38 homers, 41 doubles, and 126 RBIs. After the Mets were eliminated from playoff contention on the final day of the regular season, Alonso said he would trigger the opt-out. Now, he was asked. He did not offer that on his own. He was asked. He would trigger the opt-out and become a free agent for the second straight offseason. The Mets cannot extend a qualifying offer to Alonso for a second straight time. So any team looking to sign the first baseman won't have to worry about forfeiting a draft pick. The qualifying offer and the attached draft pick likely limited the market for Alonso last off. No, it didn't. He was looking for 7 years last year. Alonso will hit free agency again after a much improved season than potential suitors were evaluating last offseason when Alonso was coming off career full season lows, 34 homers and 80 RBIs. And you know he's Mets all-time home run leader. He was looking for a lot of years last year. He didn't get it. Okay. When it came out that they were looking for 8 years plus, the media specifically the Scott Boras whisperer, John Hamm, said, no, that's not true, and Boras had to say that wasn't true because they knew they took it too far with Steve Cohen. And Steve Cohen said that the contract negotiations with Pete was so like annoying and so just exhausting. I don't think that the owner's going to want to go through this again. He's going to give him an offer and say, take it or leave it. I think that's what's going to happen. I think 4 years is fine. But anything more than that, he's not getting. He's not getting it. At his age, defensively, he's taking a step back. Offensively, the offense is going to be there. Okay, he's a big hitter. He's a big home run hitter. Mets need to. If the Mets bring him back, they need to change the other parts of this team. Change the personality of this team, specifically with the everyday players. Guys have to get off this team. New players have to come in this team, and they need a big starter in here. Okay. This is not going to happen. Sorry. I love the guy. I think he's a great kid. He just became a father, by the way. He and his wife just had a baby, but in all honesty, he needs to take a look in the mirror and say, does he want to stay here or not? Because if he's going to be hell-bent on getting a 7-year deal, he's not going to get it. He's not going to get it anywhere. And he's going to be waiting and waiting and waiting. And he doesn't want to make the same mistake. Doesn't want to make the same mistake that Michael Conforto did. We want to go back to that again. Before the 2021 season, Michael had a contract offer from the Mets, 5 years, $100 million. He turned it down. Had a bad year in 2021. Then he got hurt in 22 when he was still on the free agent market because he couldn't find a team. He had a qualifying offer attached to him. Then when he was past that, the following year, he signed a 2-year contract with the Giants, and it was a disaster. Now he's with the Dodgers. He's had a terrible season. His whole career has been completely wrecked by that one decision of not re-signing that contract with the Mets. Now, the Mets got lucky because, the production from the player has been terrible and he's been injured a lot. But Pete doesn't want to go down this road that Conforto did. He's not going to get 7 years. I would be shocked. No team's going to give him 7 years, even without the qualifying offer not on him now. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. He's a great home run hitter. He's got a good shot to hit 500 home runs. He really does. And that'll get him in the Hall of Fame. But he's not getting a 7-year deal. He may play another 7 years. But he's not going to get the big contract that he was looking for. And the fact that Scott Boras didn't deliver for him last year doesn't mean he's going to deliver for him this year. It's just not going to happen. If he does, I would be the most shocked person here at the hut than anybody else. And as you can tell, just to start the video, I said he wasn't going to get it. I think he's going to sign. I think he's going to stay with the Mets, to be honest with you. Because his market is less than it was last year. In terms of just vacancies, and obviously the big name that was supposed to be on the market is not on the market. And that's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So that his name's off the market. He's not going anywhere in Toronto. And they're still playing, by the way. But anyway, I don't expect this to happen. The 7-year deal is pie in the sky with diamonds and rubies and fluffy little clouds. It ain't happening. Okay? If he thinks he's getting that, he's going to be waiting a long time. If you think he waited a long time this last time, this might go into the season with him. And if that happens, he'll wreck his career like Michael Conforto did. Well, let me know what you think about this video. And, of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut. I hope you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. As you know, the Mets had a terrible season and a terrible finish. They were the best team in baseball for 2 months. And it was a slow disintegration into hell. And we're in hell. And we can point fingers, and we're going to point fingers here because this is what we do here. Because this is the dark hut of discontent, the winter of discontent, bitter, cold off season, and it is bitter and it is cold and it sucks big time. And obviously the Met pitching staff was a disaster. That's why that they fired. They said they dismissed them. They moved on. Jeremy Hefton was fired, and he should have been thrown out of here about 2-3 years ago, or at least 2 years ago after the 2023 season. One of the biggest disappointment so far, in my opinion, early on, of the David Stearns era is holding on to Hefton when we saw how poorly the Mets had pitched the 4 seasons that he was the pitching coach, and he was pitching coach for 6 seasons. You forget that he was the pitching coach in 2020. We know the Mets have led the league in walks. They've led the league in falling behind the count. They've led the league, and given up a lot of base runners, free ones. And we've seen guys that have pitched, pretty well in other places. They didn't walk a lot of bats, but for some reason they got here and they could not throw strikes. Luis Severino last year had a very high walk rate when his career walk rate coming into last season was very low. I use him as an example because we've seen that now with this particular group, with that former pitching coach, that was a problem. Now, one of the things the Mets also have a problem with was linked in terms of the rotation. The guys were going into the third inning, fourth inning, couldn't get out of it. Had to get taken out. The Mets had to go to the bullpen. And they had to expect guys from like Brazelban and all the cavalcade. Mets used a lot of pitchers. They used 47 pitchers this year. Horrible amount of players to use. That tells you that there's something wrong within the organization and within the pitching coach, that he can't get the most out of these guys. That's why he's not here. That's why he's gone. But when you go to so many pitchers, you're not going to have the stability that you need. And the Mets need a stabilizer in this rotation. And we're going to talk a lot about these free agents. Framber Valdez is a big player. I was not thinking about him prior to this situation up until the collapse. But the Mets need a frontline starter, if not 2 frontline starters, to anchor this staff going forward because they need it. One of the guys that could be on the market is Tarek Skubal, the Tigers' left-handed ace. As you know, Tigers played a very emotional 5-game series against the Mariners, and they lost. And he was a guy that with them has pitched great. And the Mets need a guy that is going to, head the rotation. Now, people are talking about him getting traded because it's expected he's going to be looking for a lot of money. He's still very young. And the Mets have prospects to move. I don't have a trade proposal here yet. I will be coming up with all kinds of crazy shit here. But here we have from Sporting News. Mets trade prediction lands electric $10 million Cy Young Award winner, 2-time All-Star, bolstering the rotation. I can't emphasize it enough that the New York Mets absolutely need an ace at the top of this rotation. The Detroit Tigers season came to a heartbreaking end in a 15-inning loss to the Mariners. Despite a strong year, the Tigers collapsed down the stretch, allowing the Cleveland Guardians to catch up and force a difficult playoff path. In the American League Divisional Series, manager A.J. Hinch came under fire for a controversial decision to pull starter Tarek Skubal before he reached 100 pitches. Quote, A.J. was always a fraud and needed trash cans to win a championship. Boy, oh boy. The hell wrote this? Terrible. This is how it is in baseball. Guys do not throw 100 pitches. Terrible. After the game, Hinch addressed the criticism and explained that the decision was made mutually between him and Skubal. Easy decision, Hinch said about removing Skubal. After the 5th, I checked in on him on how he was doing physically and emotionally. We both knew that he had one left. He emptied the tank and obviously was emotional coming off the mound. And I think that signals exactly where we were in the game. He gave us everything he could. Skubal went to the final season of his contract in 25. but keeping him in Detroit long term could prove difficult. Oh boy. The first option is no doubt the most desirable. It may also be the most unrealistic. Skubal is represented by Scott Boras. Well, you know where that's going. And you can already picture Boras at the winter meetings proclaiming in front of an eager media scrum that Skubal is the engine that makes the Motor City Kitties burn out. We're going to have a lockout next year. Okay? We're going to have a labor strife next year. Skubal is going to get traded. You're going to see players getting moved, so these teams aren't like have to worry about these kind of moves. With these contracts, he's going to get traded. If the Tigers are unable to strike an extension, one potential trade destination could be the New York Mets. Adding Skubal will give them a certified ace, even if their depth got depleted. They could rely on Skubal to produce. The Mets are in a much better position than the Tigers offensively. Skubal could win with Detroit. Imagine what he'd do with a strong lineup to back him up. Fanside's Winston Wilcox wrote, a trade to the Mets would give New York a much-needed boost and a rotation that has struggled to stay healthy. Skubal is widely considered one of the best pitchers in the game today. If the Mets pull off a deal for Skubal, it will be another major step in building a true contender. For New York, the mission is clear. Spend big, trade big, and win big. And Skubal could be at the center of that plan. Now, this is a big task that the Mets have ahead of them. Okay, the Met front office has a big task. They have to realign this coaching staff. They have to give themselves insurance in case they get off to a slow start with the manager next year. Okay, they need to have some kind of plan in place in case shit happens. I can't emphasize that enough. Anybody in the Met front office watching these videos, you have to have a plan in place in case Carlos Mendoza and the Mets get off to a slow start. They get off to a slow start in June. You need something or somebody here that can take over seamlessly. Because if you don't do that, folks, you're going to have, no matter what the Mets do, the media is going to complain. But if you don't have a plan at the back of your mind, who you want to put in case shit happens, the well-laid plans of mice and men, you don't make that decision on what you want to do, what you need to do, you're going to have a major problem on your hands. So it is imperative the Mets do that. That's one of the many things the Mets have to do. They have to find the right pitching coach that's going to get this staff to start throwing fucking strikes. I hate the curse, but that's how frustrating it was watching this team throw ball one, throw ball two, ball three, walk about. Ball one, ball two, walk about. That's the second biggest, the first biggest decision, get the right pitching coach. The second biggest decision is get somebody in here that can take over in case something happens. And then we got to work on the team, okay? Players have to be off this team. Certain people, Mets have to make very hard decisions on Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Brandon Nimmo, possibly Francisco Lindor, Edwin Diaz. And if they make a big trade for a big pitcher, they're going to have to figure out who they're going to move. There's the guys that are going to hurt them in the long run. Guys like Jet Williams are probably going to be gone. Probably Brandon Sproat, Jonah Tong, Carson Benj. Any number of these players could be gone. So this is a very, very important offseason for the Mets. Last year was an easy offseason. You signed Soto, but there wasn't really any true aces that I felt comfortable giving a big contract to. And also, this will if they sign a big player, a big pitcher, and free agency, David Stearns is going to have to go outside his own box. He doesn't like giving up contracts more than 3 years for a big pitcher, for any pitching. He's going to have to bite his tongue and do it. Bite his lip and get it done. He's going to have to do that. If he doesn't do that, we're going to have the same problem next year. Team basically disintegrate in front of our eyes. I can't emphasize this enough. Things have to change or you're going to have the same problems that you've had since 2007 with this team. Hard decisions need to be made about this team, the personality on this team. Leadership has to be brought into this team as well. So it's not just about the talent, it's also about who the players are coming in here. Simple as that. But, Skubal is a great pitcher, and he would certainly help any team if he were to get traded. They just have to think long and hard on the kind of player they need to bring in here Not just a guy that's a great player. They need a guy that can really step it up and be a big time player here. The Mets really have to. Let's have a lot of work on to have a good team next year. I think the Mets are going to have a good team, but they need to sort of think long and hard about the personality of that group. How's the group play together? What's the whole, what's the deal there? Well, let me know what you think about this video. And of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.